afternoon, everybody. There we are. So it's a pleasure for me to be here with you all. I really want to thank you for your time and your attention today. And I want to thank Melissa so much for tuning in and for giving that incredible introduction. Now, as Melissa mentioned, my name is Valencia Saint-Louis, and I have the absolute honor today to talk to you about a program that has had an impact on me personally, professionally, up to today. And I want to start with just reflecting on the fact that years ago, 2019, I was at Adelphi's National Mentoring event. This event in 2019. As a mentee, and like a few mentees in this room, I was excited. I was starting a new semester. I was also looking forward to warmer weather, right? I was excited to connect with my friends. And I was still trying to figure out my way, right? I was still navigating where I wanted to be. And it's just crazy to me that years into the future, that I would be here speaking about the fruits of mentoring. And similarly, on the other side, being a mentor to others. You know, I've seen the joy of helping mentees find their way, helping them navigate those different challenges like Melissa had told me to. So even seeing some of the mentees in this room, that feels like a full circle moment to me as well. So it's a real pleasure to be here. And something that I love that we all share, if you're a mentor or a mentee, is that all of us, right, have a desire to grow, to learn from each other, to share these experiences, and connect with one another, and to make an actual impact, right, on each other. So I'm very happy that we're all here in this room together. And today I want to share 3 powerful truths about mentoring with you that illustrate what my mentoring journey was like, but also speak to some fundamental aspects of mentoring and how it transforms lives. Now I'm going to cut straight to the point, right? So I'll give you the 3 truths off the bat. So the first truth is that mentors help us bridge the gap between where we are now and where we want to be. Now the second truth is that mentors help us see our blind spots. Those things that maybe we don't want to admit, and those things that really we may not even realize are holding us back, right? And the third truth is that mentoring creates a lasting impact. And the impact that I'm talking about is one that goes far beyond the immediate moment. Now let's talk about that first truth, right? Let's talk about how mentors help us bridge the gap. Now, one way that we become and achieve all that we want to achieve, along that way, we will face uncertainty, regardless. As we all know, if anyone has gone from point A to point B, there will always be a place of uncertainty, right? There will always be a place where are moments where you really don't know what your next step is going to be, right? Where you're really unsure of, okay, where do I want to go? What resources or options do I even have? These are some of the things that we ask ourselves. And although that can feel kind of scary and intimidating sometimes, right? One of the best things that we have, resources that we have, is that we're not alone. We have people like mentors who can help us navigate those seas of uncertainty with the oars, I like to say, of wisdom and tangible guidance. So I want to start by telling you a story from my journey that illustrates this very well. Now, during my sophomore year at Adelphi, I had made a decision that I wanted to change my major. And this, it seems small now, but I was stressed about this decision. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with my life? And I just felt very stuck, very uncertain about my path forward, and really not sure where to start. I guess I had this inner dialogue that told me, okay, this is it. I really need to figure my life out at this big age of 19. I can't, there's no other time. And so of course, as we know, right, that's not how life works out, and that's okay because that's part of the journey. But I was left with more questions than answers, and I didn't know where to begin. Thankfully though, I had a mentor. And I went to my mentor, Melissa, and I told her my struggles. And she listened without judgment. And she guided me step by step, in a very holistic way, I'll say. I mean, Melissa was somebody that, from the time that I told her that, she said, okay, let's explore your skills, your interests. Let me help you know some of the resources that you need on campus, even to the point where, when I said, okay, Melissa, maybe I'm interested in HR, right? She happened to have a background in HR. She said, okay, let's sit down and let's talk about it, right? Very much hands-on. And her support, it wasn't just practical. It gave me the confidence that I needed to navigate that uncertainty and also get to my next step. Because of course, eventually, I found my major, excelled in my classes, graduated, right, which is great. And she didn't just help me get to that point either. She also became a trusted reference that I had to help me get into different internships and jobs. And to this day, as you heard, we spoke the other day, she is one of my trusted advisors that I still speak with. See, one of the things that I really love about mentoring is that you're not just handing somebody a roadmap, which is something I believe Melissa talked about too. You're helping someone chart their own course. There are many times where Melissa could have just told me, hey, just do this, that, and the third. But no, she helped guide me, asking the right questions, the right conversations, offering the tools, the encouragement that I needed, so that I could close that distance between where I was and where I wanted to be. So I want you to think in your own life, right? If there was a moment where you felt stuck, where you were unsure of how you were going to move forward. And as you think about that moment, really think about, who did you turn to? Who really helped you, right? Who helped you get from that point where, you're frustrated, you don't know where to go, to where you are now? Who were those people? If we choose to see our journeys like video games, for example, right? Who helped you level up? Really think about that. As mentors, they help us bridge the gap. But my friends, that is just the beginning. Because as mentors, of course, they help us discover different parts of ourselves. They also see our blind spots, which is my second point there. Now, blind spots, this is a topic, right? So there are plenty of things that we do not have control over in this life, right? We can't control the weather, we can't control other people, we can't control circumstances outside of us, right? But there's also plenty that we do have control over. We do have control over, for example, how we decide to show up, how we express ourselves, how we take care of ourselves and others, what opportunities we decide to pursue or not pursue. But sometimes there are blocks within us that we have unconsciously built, maybe over time, that get in the way of us being all that we can be. And these unconscious blocks, I like to call them our blind spots, right? These are things that we don't easily see on our own sometimes, and they can look like limiting beliefs. They can look like unhealthy habits. They can look like a loud inner critic or imposter syndrome, just to name a few. We all have them. We all have blind spots. But one thing we do have to recognizing and overcoming these blind spots is that we can partner with people who can point them out with compassion and care and support us with breaking through those blind spots. And mentors, in my opinion, are some of the best people to partner with for that. And for that, I actually have two short stories to illustrate this point. So the first is I'm sitting in front of my computer, right? I have a spreadsheet in front of me. It's a long list of amazing companies that I love, that are offering jobs that I feel aligned with, that I feel excited for. And as I look at this list, I constantly doubt myself. I wonder, okay, wait a second, do I have the experience? Do I have enough experience? I don't know, maybe yes, should I? I'm in this limbo, right? And I thought that I was being reasonable, right? I thought my doubt was realistic in a way. But no, when I told my mentor, Melissa, all that I was thinking, she was able to see what I couldn't, and what maybe some of you are able to see right now as I relay that story. She helped me see that I was playing small. She told me that I needed to value my experiences and the skills that I've built over the years more. She emphasized to me that more than my resume, who I am and how I show up are two very qualifying factors. And that advice gave me the push I needed to pursue those opportunities, regardless of the outcome. You know, she helped me break through some of those limits that I placed on myself, which often happens with blind spots. And she encouraged me to reach higher. And that's my first story, but my second story, something I'm excited to share, because it speaks to something personal. My second story speaks about a time when I was a very busy student on campus. I'm talking full-time student with internships, jobs, running a student organization. I was a commuter, but I lived here kind of energy, right? And I think my friend over here knows what I'm talking about, exactly. And so that was all great, except for 1 month when it wasn't. Everything kind of came crashing down. The plates were falling. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling like, okay, there's too much going on here. I don't know what to do, right? I was burnt out. And thankfully, thank goodness for the mentoring program, thankfully, even as I was burnt out and I was speaking with my mentor, Melissa, she listened, right? She saw the things that I couldn't articulate myself, and she helped me see some of my blind spots, even in that situation. Blind spots like, Valencia, I think that we may need to start working on getting better at setting boundaries, right? Valencia, I noticed that you're prioritizing everything else, but you haven't really been prioritizing self-care at all. And while we're speaking about that, I think it's really important that you come back to your why in everything that you choose to do. And these three things, boundaries, self-care, coming back to my why, these things help me transition from feeling, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed, to, okay, I think I got this. I think I can get to a more empowered state. And those three things, I have to tell you, are anchors that guide me to this day. Now, with these stories in mind, these two stories, again, I have to ask you to think back to your own experience. Did you ever have a moment where someone pointed something out to you, something that you did or believed that was holding you back? Even if it was hard to accept or acknowledge in the moment, maybe it was exactly what you needed to really make a change that benefits you. And when you had that new perspective, right, what became possible for you? As you broke through those blind spots, what opened up for you? And they really can create a positive, lasting impact for ourselves and others, which brings me actually to my final point, which is that as much as mentors, they help us bridge the gap, they help us see our blind spots, mentoring itself leaves a lasting impact. Now, as Dr. West mentioned, I graduated in the year of 2020, which was the best year to graduate, right? And so during that time, of course, it was quite difficult to land a job, right? And so what I did was I started doing some remote freelance work. And during that time, I also spoke with Melissa on the phone often, and we kept in touch. And one day, she tells me that she has an idea. She says, I want to create a podcast that empowers women to prioritize their well-being, embrace all their layers, and live unapologetically. Does that sound a little familiar? I'll get back to that. And so she asked if I could help bring this project to life because she knew that I had audio editing experience and production experience. And so, of course, my answer was an enthusiastic yes, and we co-founded the FEEL podcast. And FEEL actually stands for Finding Empowerment, Embracing Layers. Now, Melissa became the host, and I became the podcast's original editor and producer. And over time, I helped her assemble a team that now works on the podcast production, social media, and some of the projects that came out of it. And some highlights, I have to say, are that today, the show has over 100 plus episodes, a dedicated team, a whole wonderful network of guests, and a published book of reflections that came out last year, which is all very impressive, of course. But beyond all of those milestones, there's one thing that really stands out to me. See, each episode, Melissa has talking points, and these are topics that she talks about with her guests about and really fleshes out. So you will hear Melissa many times if you listen to the podcast say things like, so talk to me about confidently setting boundaries, or let's talk about the importance of prioritizing self-care in your life, or something like, let's talk about the importance of coming back to your why and your values. These are just a few. And one day it really hit me that these talking points, these podcast episodes, they're like windows into conversations that I had with Melissa as her mentee and now as her friend. It amazes me so much because it's as though the mentoring conversations that started on campus, right, as we met each other, or over the phone, these are now conversations that are expanded with amazing guests and that hundreds of people get to listen to. When I think about it, it's almost like we took our mentoring on the road in a way, and we're like, okay, the world needs to listen to this. And we didn't know, of course, what it would turn into when we first made the podcast. But that podcast and the conversations that we had, they continue to inspire others and me as well as I step into being a mentor for other people. Because mentoring naturally leaves a lasting impact. Mentors, you bring a wealth of knowledge and resources and support that generously you pour into your mentees' journeys. And mentees, you bring fresh perspectives, bright ideas, and unique skills that can equally pour into your mentor's journey. And this synergy is powerful. You never know how far it can go, from things like job recommendations, business collaborations, creative partnerships, and lifelong friendships, of course. Mentoring leaves a lasting impact. And that impact extends far beyond our time together too, as mentee and mentor. Of course, as we know, mentees often go on to become mentors. And the shared growth that we experience during that, it impacts how we show up in all the relationships in our lives, as friends, family members, co-workers, right, community members. Mentoring leaves a lasting impact. And with that in mind, I actually want to thank all of you, mentors, mentees, and everybody involved in this program, for helping to create that impact, for creating that ripple effect of growth and connection. And I want to start actually by thanking the mentors, because without you, without the mentors that poured into me, I can speak as a mentee, I do not know where I would be. When you said yes to being a mentor, you said yes to guiding your mentee, helping them shape their journey, helping them realize what, as Melissa had mentioned, is always within us, right? And your time, your wisdom, your care, it makes all the difference. And to my mentees, I also want to thank you too. I want to thank you because when you commit to this journey, as I've seen now on the mentoring side, when I see my mentees commit to this journey, it's them saying to themselves and others, I'm invested in my growth and I'm ready for the future. And the community, the resources, the experiences that you gather in this program, they're game changers that will shape you and help you make a lasting impact too. So by being part of this program, yes, you get to eat the fruits of it, but also know that you're dropping seeds along the way. And those seeds are benefiting both you and others for seasons to come. So thank you truly for being part of that cycle of growth. And I also want to thank our sponsors too. I truly want to thank you because, oh my goodness, thank you for valuing and truly seeing the power of mentorship. Your contributions, they're creating greater opportunities, right, for mentees to get the support they need to excel. And what that means for all of us is we get more graduations that we get to go to. And we get a community of change makers. So truly thank you as well. And last, but certainly not least, I have to thank Dr. Chutsani West. Thank you for all the work that you and your team put into Adelphi's mentoring program. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for seeing the untapped potential in mentors and mentees alike, and creating a program where we can use our gifts, our skills, connect authentically, and really create change here and beyond. See, the impacts of mentoring are felt in every moment that I try something new, right? Every moment that I am mentoring somebody else, those impacts are felt every single moment. So on behalf of all of us, truly, thank you again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And in closing, my friends, as we lean into this new year of mentoring, right? 2025, let's remember that mentors help us bridge the gap. They reveal our blind spots so that we can break through. And that mentoring creates a lasting impact. Thank you very much.